What up guys, today I'm going to be doing the conclusion on How Strong is Galactus from my How Strong is Galactus series that I've been doing for this past couple of months. I made 7 parts on how strong Galactus was throughout the beginning of when he was first introduced to the current date now, and I've been going through all of his feats to see how fast he is, how strong he is, how durable he is, how much attack potency he has, what ability he has, and just how powerful he is in general. And I did talk about other characters too in that video because he has a lot of stories where he's not really doing much, but he has stuff where he's around other characters that have certain levels of power. And by being around these characters with certain levels of power, you can determine how strong he is in comparison. So I did a lot of that in those videos, but I was going through multiple arcs, multiple comic book issues since his creation to basically talk about how powerful he is. And at the end of that, the video series that I was making, I felt like I had to make a conclusion talking about as a whole in general where I rank him in powers and my reasoning on why I made these videos in the first place. Because I'm pretty sure nobody really requested me to do a How Strong is Galactus video. I just did those on my own because of a certain reason. I'll get into that, but before I get into that, I do want to give a big shout out to a couple of new subscribers of mine. One by the name of Sola, sorry if I mispronounced that, and the incredible Renrick, yeah. So big thank you to both of you for subscribing to this channel. Now, going back to why I made this video in the first place, these video series, I made it because I was making quite a bit of videos talking about comic book characters and mainly Marvel characters, like talking about how strong is Cosmic King Thor, how strong is Ruined King Thor, and all these other characters from Marvel mainly at this point. And I was getting a lot of comments from people that were Marvel fans and comic book fans disagreeing with me. A lot of them didn't like what I had to say. They said, they were telling me I don't know what I was talking about. They said I don't know anything about comics or Marvel, and that I should educate myself on them, and that I don't know this. And I've had videos where there was one by Forever World's channel, one of his other channels. He talked about 10 or 15 characters that can beat Goku, and he mentioned a lot of characters from Marvel and DC. He mentioned Galactus as one, and I disagreed with the Galactus take and the Thanos take and stuff like that, and a lot of people gave me flag for that. They said, you don't know what you're talking about, you're dumb, you don't know anything about Marvel or comics. So I kind of got annoyed by that. I was like, you know what, I don't know why these guys are talking, because yes, I'm not an expert, but I don't have to read every comic book to know what I'm talking about, because I said stuff like eternity is a representation of the universe itself, thus meaning it's a universal level being. If you surpass eternity, means you're beyond universal only. It doesn't make you a multiversal, where people said no, you are multiversal if that happens. They were saying stuff like, Thor is outerversal easily, Silver Surfer's outerversal easily, these characters are this and that powerful. So I was like, okay, you know what? I will agree and concede to a little bit that the fact that I don't know as much about Marvel and DC as the comic book fans, and as I should, especially if I'm going to be making videos talking about them. But usually those videos that I talked about those characters, I went in depth in their comic book stories to point out how strong they were, and that's what I got from the information. But people are saying I don't know the whole thing about cosmology, and that is true, but I felt like a lot of people were only saying that because they just didn't want to accept these characters weren't as powerful as they thought they were. Because yes, just because you know more about a universe does not mean what you're saying is right and the other person is wrong. Because I did watch videos from other people, and that's the information that I got, and they showed really good context. I did read some, so I knew some stuff, but I would admit that I didn't know everything, so that's why I did it. And after doing the whole video stuff, and all the arguments that I had and all the stuff that people were disagreeing with me, after doing all the 7 parts and going through a lot of Marvel stories, not fully through everything but most of it, and understanding more about Marvel as a whole, it has given me a better perspective on the powers of these characters. So what did I learn from this? Were the people that were disagreeing with me right, or was I right? What was what is the conclusion throughout all this journey? Because this is not just learning about Galactus more, it's about learning more about the Marvel universe and how the Marvel cosmology works, and the power scaling for the characters. So there's certain other things I want to talk about in this video, because there's other topics that I was talking about, like the Infinity Gauntlet's power, eternity, what it represents, how powerful these other characters are in comparison to Galactus, because Galactus is considered a top dog. He isn't the most powerful being in the universe, but he is considered one of the most powerful beings, and usually most of the heroes struggle to beat him, and the ones that do beat Galactus are considered to be some top tier characters. So what did I learn from this? Well, I learned more of a, understanding on where Galactus' power is. How powerful is Galactus, though? Well, when it comes to his speed, he doesn't usually move around himself. He uses his ship, which is the size of a solar system, so it can cross like great distance, even if it just goes at light speed or less than light speed, because every time it moves even a little bit, it's moving at literally a solar system level's length, which is very big. It's not small, so yeah. He usually uses his ships or transports through some other means. So he doesn't usually fly. That doesn't mean he's not that fast, but it's just that he usually doesn't move at high speeds himself. He uses machines. So how fast is he? Well, we can use this by comparing his heralds, since his heralds got a fraction of his power. His heralds can go many, many times faster than the speed of light, millions to even billions of times faster than the speed of light. There's no real calculation that I can put for how fast they are, but they are definitely in the massively FTL levels of speed. Would I put them at faster than time and all this other stuff, like have infinite speed and stuff like that? I wouldn't say that, but they are very like millions to billions of times casually faster than light itself. And since he gave them a fraction of his power, that would mean that Galactus is also far faster than light himself, since that's only a fraction of his power, and his heralds can go from like regular people to people that can move millions to billions of times faster than the speed of light, maybe even trillions, is insane. So if he is able to grant them that level of speed from a fraction of his power, then his total sum of his cosmic energy should be even far more than that. Would that put him be faster than time? He does have abilities to manipulate time, but we don't really see him going faster than time. Like I said, he usually rarely even moves around like that. But even when with that speed, because there's a lot of arguments about travel speed and combat speed. Travel speed is how fast one person can move from one place to another, whereas combat speed is how fast somebody can use that speed in a fight, such as blocking, dodging, countering, just throwing strikes, grabbing or whatever. It's all just purely about striking itself, which is different. It requires you being able to react to something and then have that reaction hit your mind, and then your body be able to move to it. So it's more than just, oh, I can move from one place to another, because that's a lot easier. For us humans, for us to run from one place to another, like doing a running, is a lot more simpler, and it uses less body parts and body movements and mechanics than it is to throw a punch or a kick, because those require different muscle groups, and it requires those different muscle groups in different ways that are being used. So it's far more complex in that regard. But from what I've seen in the comic books, from his heralds, they seem to have a very basic sense of fighting. They don't seem to fight any, like they don't, like when I read a lot of the ones where Silver Surfer is in it, mostly it's just him riding on his board, moving around, shooting out energy blasts as he circles around them. But when he's in a fight, he's not moving at those hyper, super faster than light speeds. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad at that. Like, what the hell are you saying? You're saying that they're not faster than light when they're fighting? Yeah. That's why a lot of them are able to get tagged by guys that are slower. Because yes, when they're moving, they can move fast. But when you watch them fight, are they doing anything with that speed? You don't see them throwing multiple hands and bodies and moving around and blitzing people. You see them just usually running, flying fast and throwing some energy blasts, and then try to get into their face and then hit them. And then it's just them standing and throwing some a couple of punches. So their fighting is very rudimentary, and it's not very, high paced. Their movements are high paced, but when it comes to their fights, it's very slow down, and it doesn't move as fast. So I'm going to say Galactus, yes, he is millions to maybe trillions or, quintillion times faster than the speed of light, but he doesn't really use that in combat. When you see Galactus move, he's usually pretty slow and sluggish looking. He's usually trying to swat the heroes, and people like, the Human Torch are able to maneuver around him. Reed Richards is able to move around him. The Hulk, even most of the times when he's stationary, is able to do it. So a lot of the people that he fights, they're not really even moving at that speed. They're usually just very they're barely moving around, and he's slowly swatting. And yes, he's able to get hits, but he's not showcasing so fast that nobody can see. You don't hear statements like, oh, I couldn't see him, I didn't even see what he did there. They can all tell. People that are watching when Galactus comes to invade the planet and is fighting against the heroes, they can clearly see him moving and what he's doing. They can see that he's trying to swat or punch or hit the guys or blast them with energy attacks. So when it comes to speed, yes, he is way faster than the speed of light, but when it comes to that and fighting, he's really slow and sluggish. A lot of characters that aren't even at that levels of speed can maneuver around him and evade his attacks. So that disproves that argument there. Then we go into his durability and his attack potency. Now, we know from just a fraction of his power given to somebody like the Silver Surfer or Bedazzle or whatever, these regular humans or people that have some superhuman powers but aren't insanely powerful, even when they are like not that powerful, with a fraction of his power, they can go into a black hole without being crushed by it. So it showcases that with his cosmic energy that he gives them, they get to enhance their power by quite a bit. They can tank the pressure of a black hole. They can tank planet destroying attacks because I'm pretty sure their attack damage and the damage that they can take are the same. So we've seen Silver Surfer being able to destroy planets and multiple planets and even tank planet destroying attacks. We've seen a lot of his heralds fight and take planet destroying attacks. So his heralds are casually able to take planet destroying attacks and dish out planet destroying attacks, and that's with only a fraction of his power. They can do probably more like to a star level because they can take the gravitational pressure of a black hole. So I would put like Galactus at maybe a galaxy level and stuff like that, because he's definitely not universal. A lot of people try to put him at universal. They're saying no, he's omniversal, he's beyond universal, he's outerversal, hyperversal. But every comic book issue that I read and that I did a video on, and you guys saw, I gave full context to it. It wasn't like I was just making the shit out of my ass, or I just saw a little bit of bits and pieces here and there and just made my own assumptions. I read those comic books, and in every event that there was a threat to the universe, which is eternity, and I will get into that too. Every time there was a threat to the whole universe, guess what? He was not on par, and I'll get into that now. So eternity, people said he's the representation of the multiverse or the omniverse, everything. That is true, both true and not true. It is true that there is a version of him that is the representation of that, but there's also many, many versions of him. So there's the regular eternities, which are representations of each said universe in the multiverse. Then there's the amalgamation of that, sorry about here in the car, but then there's the amalgamation of that is the collective of all the other universal ones embodying it. So those are two different separate versions of eternity. But usually the story events that we've seen where eternity's been threatened, except for that one major one that I talked about, usually has been a specific one set eternity. So yes, technically you guys are right. There's an eternity bigger, but I'm also right. There's eternities that only represent specific said universes. And most of the stories that we've seen where there's been a threat or danger has been to that single universal eternity. So whoever can threaten that will be on a universal scale or be above universal scale, and whoever cannot match up to that person will be below that. Every time we saw it, like when Thanos got the Infinity Gauntlets and was beating all the other construct beings and all these other cosmic level beings, he was beating them all. He beat them all simultaneously. He beat all the heroes simultaneously to the point where Eternity and Infinity had to pull up. And those two representations, Eternity and Infinity, were way more powerful than all those other people. And Galactus is weaker than those other guys too. He was way more powerful than them, but he still lost to Thanos. And Thanos amalgamated with the universe itself, becoming the universe, becoming a universal level being. So he was only universal. The power was only affecting that said universe. They even said this universe can be erased. This universe is in trouble. This universe is being controlled. He turned into this universe. So it was a singular universe. So with that one universal level threat, all these other beings, not just even Galactus, a collection of all these other cosmic beings that represent these different ideas and conceptual beings, he was able to surpass them with just having universal levels of power. And I'll talk about that also later, because like I said, there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to get into, and that's why I want to make this conclusion, because I want to go specifically talking about them. But that was a universal level threat, and he couldn't beat it. So if he was beyond universal, even just universal, he would have been able to handle him by himself. But even the collection of all those powerful beings together, even Eternity, who is stated to be well above all them, was still only universal and couldn't beat him. So Galactus would have to be a lot lower than universal. At most, you can put him at universal, but I will not put him past that. It's universal or less, and it's more likely less, because usually the times where there was the universe in danger, he wasn't up to par or able to handle it. Like when they had the the Cosmic Cube. Once again, we had Doctor Doom this time. He was using it, and he was threatening the universe. They said specifically the universe was in danger. Galactus couldn't do shit. He got his power drained because of it. When Beyonder came in there, and he was way beyond universal and, you know, being multiversal and beyond multiversal, Galactus couldn't even reach to his barrier until he absorbed his entire ship, which is the size of a solar system. And even then, his power to breach into the, you know, his barrier took quite a bit of power. Yes, he was able to absorb, well, at least Doctor Doom, when he stole his power, was able to absorb, what's his name, the Beyonder's power. I just think that that was kind of bad writing in that sense, but still, it was a supercharged Galactus that had to do that. He had to do that. But when it came to the Cosmic Cube one, once again, it was universal. He couldn't handle it. Every other event where we've seen where there's a being that was universal, he couldn't handle it. There was multiple stories. So if you want to go check out those ones, go check out all my parts from 1 through 7. If you check them all out, you will see there's multiple stories where there's universal threat. It says that said universe and that eternity, and he was never as strong enough. Even when the collection of everybody else, he couldn't handle it. Even when Thanos had the heart of the universe and absorbed everybody, he absorbed him, and they said he only absorbed that one universe. They didn't say he absorbed the multiverse. So he only really threatened that universe. So whenever there's a multiversal level threat, he's not able to handle it. He can't even handle universal. So at the highest, I'll give him universal when he gets like power amps, like in the when the Black Winter came in. That was at most, the Black Winter was like a representation of a being that can devour whole universes. We also had that one other being that devoured whole universes with Galactus and Thanos fighting against him, and that guy wasn't even that powerful either, because Thanos put bombs on a planet, had two planets colliding, and apparently this universe-eating being was nearly destroyed by two planets colliding with a couple of nuclear warheads on top of it. That's not that powerful. That's not on universal levels. And that being was whooping the shit out of Galactus. So I don't want to hear anybody saying Galactus is a hyperversal or a Silver Surfer, because Silver Surfer has only got a fraction of Galactus's power. Silver Surfer cannot even beat Galactus. Silver Surfer has not shown anything on universal levels and scales of power. He's shown to be able to handle, you know, black holes, supernovas, planetary explosions. So you could put, you know, Silver Surfer at solar system level, maybe even a multiple solar system level, but he is not that much more powerful. And Galactus, seeing as how low he is, he's probably galaxy level or multi-galaxy level. And like I said before, I talked about how Thanos and Galactus are kind of similar in powers. Galactus is definitely stronger than Thanos, but not by a large margin. And I said Thanos was only galaxy level. People said, no, he's way. What are you saying? He's you know, out of verse and stuff like that. But remember, he had to use the Infinity Gauntlet just to be able to handle universal level being and become the universe itself. And it was only threatening the universe with an augmented, item to, enhance his power. So even an enhanced Galactus with the Infinity Gauntlet and all the Infinity, stones or gems or whatever you want to call them, collectively, he was only universal level. So that shows that Thanos is also not universal level, and they're both really similarly close in terms of power, because we saw that, Thanos attacking Galactus and sending him flying in, and he did do some damage, just not enough to put him down. But still, even at his highest levels of power, every time when Thanos got to his highest levels of power, was threatening just the universe, not the multiverse, the universe. And that was still enough to overshadow not only Galactus, but every other, powerful being in the universe combined against him. Couldn't even handle him. So I don't want to hear that anymore. His destructive capabilities and his durability, we don't know to what extent it is, but I do know that it does not reach up to universal, really. It's usually below universal, so he's below a universal being. I do not want to hear any shit about that again, because I said that he wouldn't be able to beat Goku or Thanos. If Thanos was so powerful, why would he need the Infinity Gauntlet just to be able to be universal? Goku does not need that. So yeah, people were disagreeing with me on that. You guys are wrong. I don't know what you're talking about. So, like I said, Galactus, speed-wise, trillions of times probably faster than the speed of light, but when he fights, he's very slow and sluggish. Even characters that aren't that fast can maneuver around him and evade his attacks. Also, what's the thing called? People, when they watch him on TV and stuff and they see his invasion, it's not like they're surprised that they can't see what he's doing. They can tell when he's fighting. They can see what he's doing. He's that slow. When it comes to destructive capabilities and durability, there wasn't exactly how powerful or how much he could tank, but we do know that he is not on universal level scaling, because every time we see universal level scaling, it threatens the entire, like, almost the entire cosmology of Marvel. Most of the characters cannot handle that levels of threat. There are a few, obviously, like Molecule Man, that can go beyond that, Beyonder or the Beyonders. Sometimes the Living Tribunal sometimes can do it, sometimes can't. It's just weird. But yeah, a lot of characters are not that levels of power in general, not just him. So the Marvel characters, from reading like Galactus, I realized that they're actually a lot weaker than I thought they were. A lot of people hype them up and they're a lot weaker. Even Mephisto, I thought Mephisto was like a multiversal level being, but then he fought against Galactus multiple times. The only thing they did was threaten galaxies. Yes, every time Galactus has gotten to a big fight against somebody else, it has shown some insane power, but the power is only really capped off to destroy multiple galaxies. It never said that it threatened the universe, and when it does threaten the universe is because if he dies, he's linked to the cosmology of Marvel. If he dies, the universe goes along with it. That's the only reason. And it can become a universal level threat if they use enough power, but as a whole, he's not a universal level threat. Most of the times, they're destroying galaxies with their power unleashed. It's nothing impressive. So Mephisto is not that powerful. Thanos is not that powerful. Silver Surfer is not that powerful. Galactus is not that powerful. Eternity is not that powerful. The regular Eternity. So a lot of these characters that you guys been hyping up, that you've been telling me they're so great, are not that powerful. After reading it, I've actually lost some levels of respect for certain characters, because I thought Mephisto was a lot more powerful. He's not. He can't even handle Galactus and stuff, and he's like on par with him. And Silver Surfer is able to outmatch him. So when people are saying, "Oh, Silver Surfer beat him," or somebody else was able to take his attacks, just remember this guy, his highest level of power we've seen is destroy galaxies. And in the Infinity War storyline, when Galactus had the power Thanos had the power to control the universe itself. Guess what? Mephisto was his little bitch. So you can't tell me Mephisto is some unstoppable demon. He was literally his little bitch. So most of these characters are not as powerful as a lot of these fanboys try to make them sound out to be. So let's talk about some of the other stuff, because there's multiple things. I reprove that Eternity is the ones that we've seen in the stories was literally just a singular universe. Yes, there is the bigger one, but besides that one story, every other story they mention specifically this universe, its universe, this. They mentioned one universe. Whereas when it came to that story event, they specifically mentioned the omniverse, multiverse, universes, not universe, but universes. They mentioned multiple stuff. And most of the big threats are universal level of power. And there's a select few that are able to threaten the multiverse in Marvel itself. But as a whole, no. After that, also all the other construct beings are not universal level, since they're below Eternity and Infinity, which are literally the representation of the universe itself. So they're below that. But some other stuff I want to talk about. Silver Surfer is not that powerful. I think he's over exaggerated. He's one of the most overrated, characters to say he's this and that powerful. None of those characters are omniversal, so I was right. Jobbers and Goons is wrong, saying that the Heralds of Galactus are already outerversal. No, they're not. They're not fucking outerversal. That's fucking cap and bullshit. Thor and these guys are also not that powerful. Thor struggles against these guys, and he needs some insane cosmic boost just to be able to match them or be able to be on that levels of power. So he's not that powerful either. They're all jobbers, okay? They're all jobbers. They're all overrated. But the other stuff I want to talk about, because I've also talked about the Ultimate Nullifier, the Infinity Gauntlet, the Cosmic Cube, and what's the thing called? The Heart of the Universe. All those items have been stated to be beyond multiversal. But when we see the Ultimate Nullifier, remember? The Ultimate Nullifier has been stated every time to be able to destroy galaxies up to a universe. Galaxies up to a universe. And we even got a cap off of how powerful it was with that one storyline event with those aliens that took what's the thing called? The Watchers technology that was given to them. They were threatening the universe, and then one of the Watchers created the Ultimate Nullifier to go against them. And when he used it at its max power, it wiped out 9/10 of that said universe, making the universe 1/10 the size it is. Now, I did say that there was a little bit of confusion there, because does this mean that the Marvel universe was 10 times the size of ours and became with that 9/10 of it wiped out, that 1/10 is the size of our universe? Or is it 1/10 the size of our universe? Like, it was normally the size of our universe, but lost 9/10 of it, so it's 1/10 the size of our universe. So I don't know. But yeah, even the Ultimate Nullifier at most was able to only wipe out 9/10 of the universe. The Infinity Gauntlet is only able to manipulate that one said universe. Like I said before, it did not work on other universes. It cannot go past the universe. So yes, it has reality warping powers and time manipulating powers and all these powers, but it only caps off to universal levels. So if being like in Dragon Ball, where Hack's abilities are only matter of the person is stronger or around the same power or just a little bit weaker, it will not work because at most it caps off at universal. So that's universal levels of range and power of, you know, time, matter, space, reality manipulation, all that stuff, and soul manipulation. All the other items were also around the same range. You had the cosmic cube; it was threatening only the universe. You had the heart of the universe. Even though he with the heart of the universe, we had you know, Thanos absorbing in eternity, which made no sense. Not eternity. I mean the living tribunal, which personally didn't make sense to me. It stated in that that story event that it only threatened the universe and it wiped out that universe, because when Adam Warlock came from there, they mentioned there were still other universes. It was just that universe. And then the other story event where Adam Warlock destroyed the universe, it was that said universe because they had other doors to other ones. So universal levels and powers for all the other items too. The other items are universal levels of power, and whenever they're used, they threaten the whole, you know, universe, and they're able to threaten every other character, which should be way more powerful than that. So no, those characters are not that powerful. I was right about what I was saying with those characters. I lost a lot of respect for them. The only ones that I feel like are still really OP are Beyonder and Molecule Man. Living Tribunal is kind of also disappointing. Sometimes he's been over, you know, surpassed, which I think is kind of stupid for them to do, ruin the, you know, the Marvel cosmology as a whole. But I just want to say that I was right. You guys were wrong. All those other characters you said were strong were not that strong. I was right to say that Galactus is mostly galaxy level and not universal level, because most of the powers that we've seen damage was with galaxy levels. Anything that was in universal level was beyond him. Now, there could be one decent argument as Marvel fans you guys can use, is that the Marvel universe is bigger than our universe, or a lot bigger. But the thing for me is, you're going to have to prove to me how big it is, because I haven't seen any videos talking about specifically how big the Marvel universe is. And if you guys are going to say in the comment section how big the Marvel universe is, please give me a link to you know, a comic book or an issue where they stated it, or they gave us at least some rough estimate of the size of the Marvel universe. Because if you cannot, I don't want to hear it, because I want some direct links so I can read it myself. You guys already know at this point I don't trust any of you guys that say this shit. I already disproven it, because I read it on my own and I proved it right. So everything I said was right. Stop questioning me. I know what I'm talking about. You guys are clearly just comic book / Marvel fanboys who do not want to accept the reality that even somebody just who doesn't read everything can understand the universe better than you. You guys have overhyped these characters, and you guys have wanked the hell out of them, whereas me, I'm reasonable about it. And I showed you guys all my information. I wasn't hiding it or lying. I even put in the link for the website that I got all these references to, like Galactus and all these story events, so you can go follow that. I disproved all those other arguments. All the arguments that I've been saying, I was right. The only argument you can make is that the Marvel universe is a lot bigger, so if it's a lot bigger, then yes, being universal in there could be multiversal in general, but you have to prove that and show me some evidence. If there is, I'm willing to read it, but I'm not just going to believe you. You have to give me a link to it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.